Welcome to Women of the World, a show which gives a voice to women from around the world who have chosen to make the United States their home. Here's your moderator, Amalia Moreno-Damgaard.
Welcome to another episode of Women of the World. We have another great guest today. Before we begin today, I would like to introduce my co-hosts. Ann McKenna is with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's great having you. And Nadia Jordana, welcome.
Yeah, I'm just delighted to be here today.
Excellent. Our special guest today is Alejandra Roisen, whom I happen to know, and this is going to make it very fun because I know a lot about you. But we also read some great news about you. So I would like to know a couple of things before the end of the show, and we're going to talk about your current project with the United Nations, and then I'd love to talk about your background, corporate background with Cargill, and you can tell us more about that. But let's go back to the beginning, and I'd love to hear about this exciting United Nations project that you're working on. Maybe you can tell us what it is,
Of course.
and what the project is about and what the plan is.
Well, I've been working since last year. Well, first of all, it is very nice to be here. I'm very excited and telling you about this project as well. I've been working for the United Nations Association in Minnesota since last year in June. And before that, I was volunteering. I love the concept. I love the concept of the United Nations, of the peaceful resolution, and including diversity. Now this piece is, and Amalia, know this is like a passion of mine. Ever since I've been working parallel to whatever work I've done, it's always been with diversity and with children. And so this seemed like a perfect opportunity. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Model UN. It's
Somewhat, I am.
Are you? Okay, it's a mock General Assembly. Like, you know, I think Obama went last year to Paris, I think it was, for global warming. So it is a mock, convention. So I work with the schools, with the teachers, with corporations. So let's say that you go to a school and you start assigning countries. So for example, Amalia, you will be Turkey. Over here, and you will be Spain. Over here, you will be Morocco, whatever. And you assign a topic. So this year it was refugees, a very hot topic. And you have to research this. So what is your country? What does your assigned country think of this? Is it the social economical background? Does your country produce, you know, the refugees? Do they take in? So you really research it. Then you go to a one-day conference, which we had at Cargill, by the way. They have been our lead sponsor since last year. And you go as delegates of the country that you are assigned. And you meet with all of the other schools, and which are also assigned the countries, and you come together a full day. It's very intense. You come together a full day to discuss, but realistically, what can you do? What countries can work together? Do you form delegations, like regional delegations, and you come to a point at the end of the conference where you do have realistic resolutions. So it's not just an educational program, it really does open your thought process. You know, it's not, oh, I'll win, I'm going to push it. No, it's not about that. It's about who can you listen to? Can you compromise? Can you strategically plan? Who helps you? Who can you help to get both benefits from it? So it's a thought process, and it's public speaking. So there's a lot of components. Now, this has been around for many years, the English. What's new, and was a launch this year, is the diversity piece. So we had our first really launch April 18th, so it was just a couple of weeks ago at Cargill. It's a convention all in Spanish. So we had the people that directed it were also natives from Latin America. Parallel to that conference, we had what I like to call the elite cafe, for lack of a better word. I invited people from government. I invited people, the Mexican consul was there, the honorary consul from Spain, from Chile. High executives on different corporations like Fortune 500 companies all went. And we had a little cafe, you know, we had press as well. Univision was there, New Publica was there. We had an article in the Star Tribune. So it was a big thing. And the reason why this elite group was there is to observe. I mean, you know, you talk about corporate responsibility and social responsibility. This is it. So this group of people went to observe, and they had lunch with the kids. El consul, the Mexican consul, he sat down with 10, 15 kids. And the kids, this is middle school. And the kids were saying, well, what is a consul? What do you do? If we want to do something like, how do we get there? So it teaches the kids, these are all Latinos. Look where they are. You know, so let's not say, oh, a Latino, I can't, look where you are. And the same group of elite people, they have all said, if the kids come this fall, next year, next school year, if they choose as a classroom a project from their community, say one kid said, oh, there's too many stray cats. Okay. Another one said, we need a stoplight because cars go too fast. Choose something from your community. Do the same process. You know, figure out what it is that you need to get, the budgets, call state, do this, do that. When you come up with resolutions, this elite group said, we'd like to sit with the kids, and if applicable, we'll implement it. So look at this.
What a great experience for the kids.
That's
And it
amazing.
teaches you, one, because Latino unfortunately sometimes grow up with a little bit of a low self-esteem. And one, it teaches them, I do have a voice. Even though I'm young, I have an impact. And people, adult, will listen to what I say. That's huge.
One of the things that I was reading on the nice newspaper article
Yes.
is that Spanish is one of the 5 top languages of the world, which is what the United Nations
Yes.
bases their programs on. But what I found really fascinating, what you're describing at Cargill, is that these kids have not ever had the opportunity to express themselves
Yep.
in a professional, in such a different subject. So they're forced to use their Spanish and learn vocabulary along the way,
Exactly.
because many of them might be immigrants, I believe. Some of them may be Spanish speakers, but the Spanish they've learned it at home. So
Yes.
the Spanish they speak every day is everyday Spanish.
Exactly.
So when they come to these sessions, right, they're forced to speak
Yes.
in using the terminology that they are using
Of the United Nations.
as adults.
As delegates. As delegates. It really is abruptly, it's a pretty intense day. I'm sure the kids are tired at the end of it, but they're happy at the same time. And the fact that all of these people, these important people, were there because of them. And I had the director of the United Nations Foundation flying from New York as well for this. So they, I think, were impressed that, wow, they're
getting
here
a
to
taste.
see us.
A taste of empowerment.
A taste of empowerment. One of the teachers from Anthony said to me, you know, it was a huge impact after the conference, because they get back to the class and they couldn't believe. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're immigrant, in this case Latino, you tend, because of insecurity, because of fear, because of whatever reason, you tend to shy away from things. You tend to go more into a corner. And this, what she said was, it impacted them so much because they realized that I don't have to be in a corner. I don't have to be shying away. I can actually voice my opinions.
Actually, I like that the best because I
Yes.
think for immigrants, like you said, we come into a culture,
Yes.
and then trying to learn the culture. There's so much about culture that is very different, and it's very easy to stay back and feel like you can't voice yourself, and you're not understood.
Yes.
Coming from a different culture, even like eye contact is something we come here and learn. I don't know about you, but I was taught to not look at adults or
Yes.
people of respect direct into the eyes. That's viewed as being disrespectful. So then you come here, and if you don't look straight in the eyes, it's viewed as not being honest, not being confident.
Absolutely, yes.
And so I think what I find very fascinating about such a program is when you let the Spanish people express themselves in the Spanish way, and there's no judgment about the cultural aspect, but they are able to come in and be themselves.
Yes.
And I think that's really empowering.
And there's many layers of goodness, if you want to call it, to this program. One of the teachers at one point said to me, she was looking at two kids and they were debating beautifully, working really well together. And she says to me, one was Latino and one was white. And she says, do you see these two kids? I says, yeah. She says, okay, the white boy usually beats up the Latino one at school every week.
That specific white boy? Okay.
But think about it. So indirectly, it's almost tackling bullying because they can't go back to where they can't go back to school because they work so well together. So the white boy said, well, you are intelligent. You're in the corner, but you've got intelligence. You've got voice. And the other one said, you know what? You're not so bad. So indirectly, it does tackle bullying. So there's many layers to this program, and it's really a 2-event program. One is this one. The second one is coming up on the 4th of June. In your countries, in my country at least, if someone has a football, might buy soccer, a ball, soccer ball, and they're in the park, somebody else comes by, hey, you play. Yeah, do you? Come on. The next one comes around. Hey, you guys playing? Yeah, come on. Nobody cares about who you are, your name, your background, what you do, your occupation. Do you play?
It's a common denominator.
It's a common denominator. So because this is it's what brings different levels of society, of education, of nationality. It brings them together. We thought, you know what we're going to do? Let's bring the community together. There's so much diversity in the Twin Cities, but they don't always they don't always talk to each other that much. Does that make sense?
That's true.
So we go, you know what? We're going to have a football game. Everybody come. There'll be music. There'll be food. There'll be games for the kids. There'll be friendly football game. Now, who makes up the football game? We've got corporations, we've got small businesses, restaurants, we've got chambers of commerce, universities, professors. All of those that make community are the ones that are playing.
That's great.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that really
And then
is.
the other ones, it's a group called Youth Link, which are kids that are homeless or have experienced homelessness and come together with the structure of a soccer game.
So Alejandra,
cool.
is this program strictly for the school system? Is it for public schools, or can you?
Community.
It's community.
Right. So the Model UN, I work with the schools. But this one is, it's under the umbrella of the United Nations. You know, so we're here where the United Nations Association in Minnesota, kind of a chapter of New York. But under their umbrella, you know what more? United Nations is for peaceful resolutions, is for peace. So what better way to come together as a community, bring the diversities, bring the minorities, bring Minnesota, bring everyone together. It's a safe place, it's a peaceful place. Enjoy the day. I mean, it's just like a 3-hour thing, my daughter works in an immersion school, so I even asked her, I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I asked, you know what, it's 2nd grade, would your kids like to come out hand in hand with the players? Like in the Olympics, you know? So we'll see if that happens, but it'll be nice to have the kids walk out with the players. I'll probably put the music of Rocky or something like that.
Oh, that would be so great.
But that's a 2nd event.
What program is it that started in, is it 3 years ago? I was reading about, is that the same one that has 88% increase rate?
Of Latinos?
Of in the program. getting
And
involved in the program.
Yep, and we're talking about the Spanish one,
Yes,
yeah?
the Spanish.
Like I said, it always existed in English. Now, I think
Okay.
it was like in 2011, there were
Yes,
two teachers in
yes.
Highland that realized, no, it's an immersion school. So majority, of course, were, children that were in a program that wanted to learn Spanish. But she realized the importance of the usage of Spanish. She thought, we're an immersion school, why not have this in Spanish? She really did try to put it together and start something. So it's been in the works since 2011, 2012.
Okay, that's what
It didn't, this year was a little bit different because our filters shifted so much. So 50% and above Latinos, like in a school that has 50% and above Latino, first generation, first language, many of them with reduced lunches. We wanted to tackle those kids. So we've got some filters in place as far as priorities, which weren't there before. And we put it together with our second event. And so every year, this is going to be a yearly event as far as the football game. And every year, we'll try to highlight a different audience in our community that benefits from the highlight. So like this fall, we're having a meeting, kind of a power meeting to see if this is workable. You've heard of the Special Olympics. Okay, we're trying to put together a special model UN. So, and I always tell this story to people that know me because it was such a turning point. When I was in Cargill, I was part of the Disability Council as well. And I went to an event, and there was a child there, maybe 12, 13 years old, in a wheelchair, paraplegic, could not speak. But he had cut little pieces of magazines, words, images, and put it like on a billboard, and it read like a book. So when people look at children with disabilities, they sometimes mistakenly think that the intelligence is not there.
Which isn't
It has
true.
nothing to do with that. It just they can't express themselves the way society expects them to. So there's a gap there. So I'm getting a lot of people together come fall to see, all right, let's just get together. I think this is doable to have a pilot, but I need somebody around me to say to me, well, did you think of this or did you think of that? Did you? And I would like to walk away from that meeting saying, this is doable. A little bit more work, but this is absolutely doable. And then we'll, so we'll concentrate on that. So every year that we have the football game, what we're going to try to do is look at a piece of our community that can benefit and grow from that highlight, from that awareness. So,
Great,
yeah.
great.
That's a great
So the
point.
conference is once a year, the
Yes.
football,
a
soccer, once a year, and then this new Olympics will be once a
Yes.
year. So these are
Especially,
programs
yep.
within or events within the
UNA,
the
yep.
program that you are
Yes,
working
yes,
on.
exactly.
And the Olympics, are they going to be for disabled people, or are they going to be for everybody?
Well, it'll be, so it's not for the Olympics, it's actually, because right now it does exist, a special Olympics for children and adults with disabilities.
Yeah.
So we take that same audience, but instead of challenging them physically, what we'd like to challenge them is mentally. So, and then that subject, so this year the subject was refugees. The year that we put together disability, the groups that have disability children, we're going to, the theme is going to be disability. For example, in Spain, in Iran, in Iraq, in Africa, in Togo, what is it like? What is the impact? Are they outcasts? Are they embraced? Do you have some sort of a support with the government? How about equipment? So across the board, which is the Spanish, the English, and this new one, they're going to research what is disability in their assigned countries. And I'm hoping by raising awareness, people start to understand, no, they're not stupid. No,
it is
they're not like
different.
Yes.
Yeah, it is different in
yes.
different countries.
It is. And just sometimes all it takes is raising awareness to get something in motion. I mean, it's not going to solve the problems of the world, no. But every time you have awareness on some issue that needs it, you put something in motion.
Absolutely.
Something starts.
Absolutely.
Something starts, yeah.
I saw an interview not too long ago. It was about a man that lost half of his body, and he's a leader in his community. And one of the things that really impacted me is what he said during the interview. And he said, really, I don't see this as an impediment of what I'm doing, as an obstacle. Oftentimes, you know, our disability is really mental and not necessarily physical, and it is very true. And this is what you're trying to convey.
And
that
exactly. And even when they do come together for the Model UN, so with visuals, with music, with speech, with art, there's different ways of communication, and that's what we're going to focus on. So that's our next project in line.
That's great.
I like that next project with disabilities, because I think there's a lot of potential that is wasted by overlooking someone because of the piece of disability. And like, you know, the story you shared, having a full body and everything doesn't mean that you are productive. And someone can have a disability and be extremely productive. So I think stepping up and empowering that has a disability is awesome.
And you know, you think of it, I mean, we've got different, in this table itself, we've got different nationalities.
Right. 4 different.
We've come from different areas, from different countries.
Mini UN right here.
You're the mini UN right here. And why not give that empowerment to whoever you're, whether it's disability, which Latinos, whether as a human beings. I think that's why we're trying to focus on the football game, saying all of the Twin Cities, come, join, have fun, relax. This is a place you are able to be who you are with full acceptance, you know?
So do you extend that to other communities? You work a lot with the Latinos.
Yes.
But do you, okay.
Yes, with different communities, yes, absolutely. I'm actually even working with, I'm talking to a woman that works with the Dakota Indians right now as well. And because they're a sovereign nation, I thought, how cool would it be for them to come and play? Because all of the players are going to have the flag printed out on their backs. So when you see this, everyone playing, you immediately can see all of the flags, all of the countries, all of the diversity.
From their country.
Yes, yes. So we've got, the team is extremely diverse. We have women as well. Do you guys play football? Soccer? Do you play, Maddie?
I watch.
Do you play?
I have at some point in my life.
Oh, good.
Women. Being Latin American, I've been exposed to it, certainly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's a unifying point, you know. I really don't play, but I remember in Argentina, anybody would play anywhere. We'd always go for La Hinchada, which is like the background going, yay, whatever. So yes, I do actually extend it to every single community that I can.
A quick question.
Yes.
When you went backpacking through Europe,
I did.
what kind of things did you learn with an experience like that?
I did when I was young. I went about 2 months through Europe as a backpacker. And I was going to go with a friend of mine. Last minute, she pulled out. So I thought, you know.
You went alone?
I'm alone. And it's funny, not one single day did I feel lonely. Because I remember particularly when I was in Italy. So we were traveling 8 hours in a train, and I had this companion, you know, he spoke Italian, I spoke Spanish, we mixed both things, but we had this wonderful just conversation and discussion on politics, on philosophy, on the world, of what mattered, what didn't. Then, you know, the train got there and we hugged and said goodbye. That was just a little piece of my life. We didn't, you know, change anything because we just shared the moment.
Yeah.
That's what happened everywhere I went. It's amazing. Of course, I also met who was to be my future husband there too.
That's not all that.
That's the best part.
And that was at the Charles de Gaulle airport. Our backpacks were late. So we just hung out there and
What
met.
an
That's amazing.
experience.
Yeah.
Alejandra, all this work that you're doing now, it's in a way, I think, a culmination of all the work that you've done, your corporate work. Talk a little bit about your work with Cargill, and
Sure.
you're still now are
Yes, I'm still
working
connected.
with them through
I'm still
this.
connected.
So
I'm still
I think
connected.
that's absolutely wonderful.
Oh, I love the company. So for whatever reason, I always end up in international, global positions. I like languages, I like cultures, I like traveling, I like cultures, traditions, and I just automatically land there. And with Cargill, worked there for 11 years, and it was, again, a global position. So I worked with 16 business units around the world, and each business unit had a marketing director. So I was learning and development, training within that arena, the marketing and sales. And so I would work with the directors for their talents, saying, well, you know, who do you have? Okay, who do you see is on the rise? You know, some companies will send the entire group to a class. That's not right. You know, not everybody has the same needs. So we would handpick who the talent, the growing talent was. And I did that with these 16 business units. And the other thing that I did was combine projects. Like I would have someone in, I don't know, Germany. And I thought, you know, your project is really similar to the one in Japan. Let me introduce you to. So when you talk about innovation, creativity, the one from Japan is not always going to see the problem with the same lenses, and vice versa.
Culture.
Exactly. But when you mix cultures, when you mix lenses, what do you get? You get this wonderful, innovative solution, which I'm going, wow, I would have never thought of that. That's it. So my job at Cargill was to make sure there was flow within all of the countries. There was connectivity. And of course, you also had sometimes very, I don't want to say difficult personalities, but very particular personalities. And so I would work as a mediator as well. So sometimes that was necessary. Sometimes that was necessary. Yeah. And that's,
Anyway.
And that's actually what led me. So I still go out to universities and I still go out to some corporations to do presentations on global leadership. What is it? What does it mean? What is it here for?
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I can talk with you for forever because this is fascinating to me because of my background.
Yeah.
It's we have very similar backgrounds,
Exactly.
but we're running out of time.
Yep.
And one question I want to ask you is, I would love to learn more about your current project, the UN project. Where can people go find more information about it?
Oh, they can actually go to our website. It's United Nations Association of Minnesota. If
Wonderful.
Because that's, yes, they can find out more information there, and we have contacts if they have any questions, because already after this launch, I was contacted by four states that they either want to send their kids, Spanish speaking, to next year, or they want to replicate this in their states.
Alejandra, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
We enjoy having you. Nadia, my co-host, and Ann McKenna, thank you for being here with us today. And to all of you, thank you for watching. We will see you next time.